Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, March 11th, Voorheesville Board of Education Facilities Committee meeting. Frank, why don't you take us away?
Okay, so the major portion of today's meeting is going to be talking about the elementary school bid. We have our architects with us, Matt Gasberry, Kirsten Orshert, and UW Marks is Justin Zimmer with us, who's our general construction manager. So let's talk about the elementary school bid. We went out for bid, it came back, and the bid came back almost $2 million over our budget. So that's not great news for us, considering that we need to still do the project and we still need to be within it. So we have to look at ways to figure out what the next steps for the district are. We did only have one GC contractor that bid for it, and that was where it was really high. So we've talked last week about a game plan to go out and rebid, which can be done in the time frame that we are. But there are some kind of specifics that you do to rebid to be able to see if you can get this down to attract more bidders. So a couple things that we're looking at doing is extending the ability for how much we're going to close off at the elementary school. So we've talked about closing off that basement area where the cafeteria is, where kids club room used to be, the off room, and then the transportation area, which we won't need any longer, and that kitchen. So we talked about closing that down until about November, December. Right. We are now looking, I spoke to Jeff and he could do that, Venzio, looking to February. So if we extend that, it's going to be a little bit of a push, but unfortunately there's going to be some growing pains with this, right?
And that's purely a function of we got to rebid, so it just kind of extends out a little bit.
And it allows people, so making sure that they have subcontractors to be able to do the work, because there's a concern about getting all that work done in that time frame. There's going to be a lot of bids out already, giving a little bit more time for them to get the work done because it is a pretty tight time frame. So making it a little bit more appealing for people. Kirsten, am I correct in saying that?
Yeah. For contractors, the summer is their hugely busy time. So if we can offer the contractors more work to do in their non-busy time in the winter, that makes this project more attractive for a GC contractor who may want to take a look at this project. So in fact, we only had the one GC contractor. We're trying to make this more attractive to more GCs, get more competition, and a closer look at that. And we think this is one strategy to make that more attractive to more contractors.
The other strategy is breaking down into more alternates, large scale alternates, which is not wonderful. I'm not gonna lie to you, because you have to then make hard decisions of what could you do without, right? But if the GC comes back and they come back at 12 million and we need to cut, 2 million over and we need to cut $1 million, you got to find a place to do it. So having those alternates allows us to do that. So that's really what Matt, Justin, and Kirsten are going to talk about today. And we're going to go over that in 1 minute. The other issue is going to be, there's going to be some lead time issues, right? Say with the alternates for the elementary school, the casework in the kindergarten, first grade room, that might be an issue where we won't be able to do all that work. So we have to reschedule that out and maybe do night work, do the abatement in the summer, and then scale it out because we might not be able to get that casework in time. So there's going to be some growing pains with this that we might not have felt otherwise. But this is the problem that comes in. You can't control budget all the time. The estimators estimated where they were, and it came in extremely high for the GC. So now we're looking at new ways to go back out and still get the project done. Did I say that right, guys? I mean, you've been through this before. Did I miss anything?
No, I think you hit the highlights.
I think you covered it.
Yeah. So, what do you want to go over the alternate documents in? So in front of everybody, we have the new alternate scopes. So I have this bid document, Kirsten, that you guys can go through, and then I also have the maps for everybody, so they know exactly. So, do you want to share your screen? Would you have the ability to do that?
We can do that. I don't have my nice, pretty alternates list that you have, so it might not look as pretty as what you have. Let's see, I'm trying to find the share screen here on this platform. Oh, there it is. Yes.
You should have the ability to do it.
There we go. Share. Okay, can everyone see that? So that's our bid tab. that of the bids we received. We don't need to go through that. I think Frank summarized that well. Just had the
Yeah,
one
and Kathy was there to actually see the look on all of our faces when the bids came in
Wasn't as
over.
much fun as I thought it was.
No,
Yeah.
we all were a little somber that day.
Yes. So we did talk about what potential alternates might be possible to carve out. Now, we had some alternates in the project originally. I will just sort of hit the highlights of the new alternates that were not previously considered. So one of the alternates would be to have this pre-engineered metal building, your storage shed, as an add alternate for the GC contract. That would be alternate number 7 for the pre-engineered metal building on the
Now,
site.
yeah, so that's behind the building where the buses are currently stored in the gravel lot.
Yeah.
So there was a pre-engineered storage building because we were going to take down the old storage building, because now if we don't have a storage building, where are we gonna put things, right? So it's not, again, these are not great bid alternates. It doesn't mean they won't be there, will be there. It's just, it gives us flexibility on if we have to make tough decisions, how do you make them, right? So we try to do the things that are easy enough that we could pull out. Don't want
And
to.
the nice thing with this one here is that if you get funds from another source in a couple years, this one's an easy one to rebid. It's a standalone piece, so that's a nice piece that if you can't do it on bid day, you may be able to come back and do it in a year or two.
Right. Or get a
So-
donation or figure out something else.
Exactly. On the second floor, we had originally had in the library, we had had a fairly limited scope of work in the maker space, and that had always been base bid. There had been a little bit of work in the library that was an alternate. We are now recommending that the entire library and makerspace modifications be included as a alternate for the GC plumbing, mechanical, and electrical contractor. That would be alternate number 2.
Yeah, so listen, I'm going to be very honest with you. Neil knows, like, these are not easy decisions. And so, but what are the biggest bang for the buck? So it doesn't mean we would take them out. Okay. It just means that this is the chunking that we're doing to put it out for the bid. So that way, if the bid does come in, which hopefully it won't, right? Let's hopefully the bid, if there is something that has to go, what can go that can make big impacts? Now, the library is one that I didn't want to do. It's there because, again, is it functional now? Yes. Is it an absolute need? No, right? So that's what we looked at, is what could we live with even though we don't want to do that, right? So that's why, and what can you take out that doesn't impact everything else? The library and makerspace is one that could potentially not be there.
Right. And hopefully by having more GC contractors bidding, you'll get more competitive bidding, which hopefully will make the tough decisions fewer on bid day. A similar piece that we talked about is renovations to this classroom 205 as alternate number 3. That'd be the GC mechanical, plumbing, and electrical.
So can I explain that one?
That's an existing classroom, and there are being some enhancements made to provide some additional features to that classroom. And the question is whether you need to do that at this time, or whether you can afford to do it at this time. I guess I'll put it that way.
That one was adding, it's like for, you could have like science rooms or multi-purpose classrooms so people could do labs and stuff in there down the road. So if we're taking away that one science room and we're making it so it's a multi-purpose classroom, we were trying to put in another room that could be used as display for teachers to utilize with lab stations, or like at least more cabinetry. So the idea was take one room but move it down. This one would be an easy move because you're not losing any instructional space. It's currently an instructional space. There's currently a classroom in it. You're just not putting the cabinet work and everything else into the room to be able to update it as a multi-purpose room.
So the science lab on the 3rd floor
Is becoming a classroom. Yeah, which it currently is now. So this was to be able to offset that. But if it's already a classroom, we can make do with it.
So we after going through this in our last iteration, we thought we may be a little shy and may not be as give you the full flexibility that you would like. And if you are open to considering it, these two classrooms here may also be an opportunity just on the GC side to do just the to omit the casework from the base bid and put the casework into an alternate. You still would have the air conditioning and the HVAC improvements that would remain base bid. But this could get paired with this room here to give you a little bit larger, expansive flexibility.
Is that casework cubby work?
It is cubbies, yes.
It needs to be in the room. The cubbies need to be there because we have nowhere else to be able to put those student work. So that can be classrooms, but we won't have anywhere to put their stuff.
Right. That would be a tough situation to be in. Okay, so that sounds like that's not something you would like to pursue at this time, and we will take that off the table and we'll move forward and see where we end up.
I don't know unless anyone else thinks so, but it cuts on the functionality of the room.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Any questions so far? This isn't fun. I know. Next one.
And then I guess the other piece that we talked about was reducing the scope of work on the third floor. The third floor corridor lockers are already identified as an alternate.
Floors are already an alternate.
I'm sorry, I think I have this incorrect here, but the ceiling work, existing ceilings, existing lockers would remain. The existing ceilings would be removed as required under the base bid so that the mechanical and the asbestos abatement work could go forward. The alternate would be to provide new ceilings in these classrooms here and to provide new lockers in this area here. The work that was previously identified for the ceiling work for the air conditioning in these rooms would carry forward. The modification to this classroom here would also carry forward in the base bid.
So we're still getting all air conditioning on third floor. It's just that we wanted to have new ceilings across the whole third floor as well.
Right. And the units back here in this area here are ceiling mounted units, and that's why those ceilings need to be done in full. Whereas the units in these other classrooms here are floor mounted units. And therefore, it would be possible to reduce the scope of the ceiling modifications in these classrooms here.
And ceilings will rough out about how much money, Justin, do you think? If I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, or Kirsten.
You're looking at about $16 to $18 a square foot.
Yeah. So you're looking at a couple $100,000 worth of ceilings, correct?
Roughly.
Okay.
So,
but it doesn't stop the use of the room. It loses that new ceiling look.
but the lighting, of course, is being worked on now as part of the EPC project. So you will have the lighting enhancements that are currently going on. That won't change.
Okay. That's not the worst one yet, though. So if you think these are bad, you guys want to give the worst possible alternate humanly possible? And the Hail Mary?
The Hail Mary, that's the right terminology for this. The alternates that we are showing here so far are meant to be for giving you flexibility on bid day. You're close, you've got several contractors who bid this here, you're close, and you want to dial in as close as possible. If for some reason it still is way over budget, or you don't get competitive bids from a GC, and you really are debating, can we award anything? We wanted to make sure that there was something that was awardable for the district to do this summer. And that would be to bid the site work as base bid for most of the site. However, this portion here immediately adjacent to your existing bus garage in the area that would become your future kitchen and cafeteria would be an alternate, so that if you can't award that kitchen cafeteria this summer for construction, at least you could get the site work, most of the site work done and show some progress. And then if we were then to rebid the kitchen cafeteria work later in the year, we could then bid this portion of the site work for later in the year. Again, this is a Hail Mary.
Because that is also the first floor. That includes the music rooms, the art rooms, and everything else.
Yes, everything. If you're not able to award anything, we'd want to at least make it possible so that you could award a large chunk of the site work and move that.
I don't think it's there, and I don't think that is an option that we would want to entertain, but I think we have to put.
Like, what's the point? I mean, I get the,
Yeah.
but the.
Worst case scenario.
To me, there's risk in that anyway, because then we're unable to bid that stuff, so let's go ahead and do the site work and thinking that we'll be able to afford that stuff later, when
That's how I feel.
it feels riskier.
Yeah, I don't think that's like the way that feels.
No.
I don't think the community is interested. I
Yeah.
don't think so
I don't
either.
think so either.
I'm very impressed.
Now, do we need to have that in there, guys? Or, I mean, because I'm feeling like it's, you know how I feel. I was very adamant. I vocalized how I felt about it when we
Sure.
met.
Sure. And this is
I get where you're going though, because it shows that we can award it, but to do it, but then I think I would rather go back to the drawing board, redo it and rebid out again, but that's an issue as well. So hopefully we won't have to do any of that.
And you know, if you choose not to use this alternate strategy, that would leave all these funds available for your reconsideration of how to approach the work inside the building and really make sure you're getting your highest priorities without having expended a large chunk of money on this work here, if that's not important to show something for this summer.
How do y'all feel about it?
Very disappointing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get, but it's, and I worry, and I know I expressed this before, but how confident are you that will attract more than one GC the second time around?
We spoke with 2 other GCs who had been looking at the project during the initial bid period. We shared with them that we wanted to make this project as attractive as possible. Why had they not bid it last time? What could we do to make it more attractive? These 2 GCs we spoke with indicated that they liked the project, that they were concerned about being able to complete the work in that phase that ended in November. So that was definitely in response to that. What we said, how long should we extend it? So we really asked them to please lead us to what would make it attractive to them. They both
That's
indicated they would strongly, I would say 90% commitment to rebid the work.
And how concerned are you that the longer we push out, the more expensive things are gonna be in the current political climate?
100%. 100. That's why we need to rebid out. The goal is to rebid on March 24th.
Okay.
To get the
Really
bids
worried
out
about that.
and then award the bids in April.
That's as soon as we can
Yeah,
back out.
yeah, right, guys? March 24th is probably the soonest we can get the bid out.
Go out on March 24th and receive bids on the 17th of April is what we sort of talked about.
That's a week and a half turnaround, 2-week turnaround for the, because you got to redo the bids and get them all out.
Yeah.
Question, because I see, we've done this site work as an alternate. Is that
Which site work are you looking at?
the one we didn't like?
Yeah.
Is it possible to flip it, like stuff like the field drainage stuff? Is any of that alternatable? Because it's not really dependent on the inside the building stuff. Is there any of that I know we want to do it, we want to do the drainage and we need to do that stuff, but it's not really coupled to the new cafeteria. It's not coupled, right?
Kirsten?
At all?
Matt, could we do that?
We had originally had alternate for the site drainage on the very southern half of the site.
But could we make the whole site drainage, all of it,
alternate.
But the problem is that site civil, and site civil came in well, right? So their bid came out good. It's the GC bid.
Well, I mean, if we
Yeah.
need money to
Mm.
afford, right, like,
Right.
is that stuff that the rest of the work is not dependent
Right.
on that. The inside the building work is not dependent on that
GC,
drainage
yeah.
stuff. It's stuff we have to
Right.
do.
Yep.
But couldn't we theoretically address that in a future project at
We
a
could.
future date?
Yeah.
If we
And that's
really
sort of
want
what this year was about as well, was all this work is not dependent on work inside the building. So I
Right.
think
But we're-
fortunately the rest of it
It's-
was-
Well, some of that outside
Person,
work,
what
though,
we're
we
saying
need
is
to
the
do shape of
drainage
park.
work in, past the cafeteria, past the,
Right, the stuff out,
Down here.
that,
down there, all the stuff
Yeah.
down there, right.
Yeah,
could that become an alternate of its own?
it's half of it's already an alternate. It was previously bid as an alternate.
Right. Could the other half be coupled with it?
It could be, yes.
What was the price on that and for the alternate? You said part already was an
He's got
alternate right here.
$67,000.
It wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
What's that one? What else is included in that?
That's the site work package.
That's the
The
whole
whole
site work
site work
package is
package.
1.67?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
And that includes that drainage, but then.
That includes the whole
No,
front.
no.
all
Do we
the-
have a breakdown for what's the, I feel like the front's important, the boulders, whatever it is, the new
Yeah.
pattern
Space,
around the cafeteria, important.
It's
for
probably
the
like another,
cafeteria.
what do you think, like another $200,000 just for the drainage work?
The part around the cafeteria?
No,
Or
the
drainage.
one, the rest of the drainage,
Out in the fields.
out in the field drainage.
Everything not right around the cafeteria.
We're saying south of the parking lot, south of the gravel parking lot?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was there
That's the
site work
playground.
included too for that?
I'd be surprised if this number doubled, is my gut feeling.
What's that?
I would be surprised if this number doubled. Right, this is already more than half of that area south of the ball
Okay,
field.
so it would double. Okay, so
Yeah,
not a ton
I'm
of
just-
money.
Mm-mm.
So the bulk of that 1.7 million is that
Everything
new
else.
pattern right
Yeah.
around the front?
That, the front area, the drainage area
Yeah.
next to the elementary school.
Yeah, there's a lot of paving work and curbs and sidewalks, a lot of detail work there, closer to the building.
That's the other stuff isn't really a ton. I like your thought process though.
So when we bid this out, do we put the alternates in there as a separate? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they list it on, it's on the bid form, and we get a separate price for that, a fixed price for that.
And you could pick whatever alternates you want to once the bids come in. It doesn't
Right.
have to be, in order.
You could choose to take them all or to take none of them. Or you could pick and choose amongst them as you wish.
And this is really the only option, correct? Because the other option would be waiting and reconfiguring, and then at that point, prices go up, things change. So this is the best option that we have.
When we're talking about another project, you and Lisa were talking about that like out 5 years.
Yeah.
Can whatever we don't get, that can be part of that,
Possibly,
possibly.
Yes.
Okay.
if we have reserves at that point, right?
Yes.
That's, we gotta plan with our current budget, how much reserves we can have. So that's why it all kind of ties in together. But yes, theoretically, if we have the funds to do it. So hopefully though, putting positive energy out into the world, we rebid, we get the new GCs, we extend our time frame, and everything comes in at the estimate price or around it,
Yes.
right? It's,
Yeah.
That when you have now a competitive bid, you should be seeing competitive bids, right? Like that wasn't a competitive bid when one person bids.
Do they know?
And I think we,
I think so.
yeah, I think we found on the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and the site civil, that those low bids came in very, very, very close to the previous estimate. So the real variance was on the single GC contract.
Any other questions for the GC or architect while they're here?
Thank you.
All right, thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. You guys can take off. I appreciate
Thank
Thank
you.
you guys. Have a good night.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Just, you waved towards the owl.
Yeah, I
sorry.
did.
Thanks, Matt.
Yep, thank you.
So,
So what else?
oh, let's get it.
Other than that.
Okay, there we go. You know, so that is wasn't the best, but, you know, we know that sometimes things don't go as planned, and you gotta look at every option and redo it, and that's where we're at. So that's what we're doing. So these are the best options, although they have worst case scenarios. So, all right. Anyways, Joe's here and Neil, and this is Neil's last meeting. Other things on the project, so a transportation project update. So do you wanna, because you were kind of giving an update to Kathy prior to starting, so.
Yeah, so we have a roof, walls are done, roof is up. Walls are starting to go up inside the building. We have a brick wall separating office space from the mechanic bay. Some of the other brickwork is being done inside. Masons are going to town. Today, they were out there in their short sleeves shirts working. Some of the metal framing is going up around the inside offices as well. All trades were on site, electrical, plumbing, everybody. Radiant floor should be done by end of the week. Looking at next week for the slab pour for the mechanics bay.
It is moving along, which is a good thing.
So are we looking at June now instead of May?
July,
July.
it's July, like the beginning of July is what we're looking at for full release of the building.
Yeah.
So,
We talked about doing some kind of ribbon cutting.
Yeah.
Ribbon cutting will be, it's like July or.
I'm hoping when we have the CFO, so that would probably be July. That's,
Or would it be better to have it just before school starts because nobody's here in July? I mean, you know, like a lot of families are gone.
Yeah.
On vacation.
that would be the fun thing, like we'll get the plaque, we'll
Right.
dedicate it, like
Yeah.
that will be, but that will be great, that would be a nice little positive, so hopefully that will happen sooner than later.
Especially if we have to go back and tell people,
Right,
hey, you know that
Yeah.
really cool plant we showed you?
Yeah.
No.
yeah, that's not happening. So I'm hoping the really cool stuff at the elementary school will still be able to happen. You know, the ceiling, again, like losing a
That's a big
ceiling is
thing.
not a big deal, right? Losing a
Right.
library, that's a big deal. You know, keeping the air conditioning over a library though, air conditioning I think is more important, right? So those hard questions are the difficult ones. But hopefully we won't have to have any of those. So roof leaks. So we have had some wonderful roof leaks. I don't know why they make flat buildings. I still struggle with that understanding. But Neil, do you want to give the update on the roof leaks for the high school?
So the constant leak in our cafeteria hallway reared its ugly head after our last ice storm. And we had to shut down the hallway for a couple days. It opened it up pretty good.
So the leak that we're talking about is by the cafeteria, but what happens is the middle school gym right over here it's upright and it's 2 stories and then it's flat roof all around it. So what we're finding is, you guys want to explain it?
So all the water from the top of the middle school gym runs off the side of the building and down. And it's getting behind the brick somewhere and into the building, obviously. So we had our architect out, we had a representative from the roofing manufacturer out to inspect it. We're gonna do a series of tests to see if we can't pinpoint exactly where it's coming in from. And then try to remedy it from there.
Are these rubber roofs?
It's the same issue that we've been having for the
Yeah,
past.
so this is what I thought we had it figured out, or I guess.
They thought it was figured out. They sprayed it down and put sealant on it, and it lasted for about 6 months and then stopped. So there's a couple of issues with it. It's all around the bottom of that roof. There's caulking issues, there's issues with the roof itself, so that's gotta get repaired to get us back on warranty, which they're working on doing.
Right.
And then the brick itself is absorbing all of it. So they're looking at all those other issues. Joe, you saw it, you know, am I missing anything?
Yeah, we took a walk up there today.
Do you put gutters ever on something like that or?
Gutters won't actually fix the problem because yes, it'll deter some of the water. But until you pinpoint exactly where it's getting in, you're still gonna have a driving rain going against the brick and getting in.
So one of the things is you cover the brick
Mhm.
with a plastic or a,
Well, you could do a rubber, but then the brick isn't allowed to breathe. They're talking about a metal sheathing, which will have a type of membrane almost behind it, so you got a little bit of spacing, so you can still breathe a little bit, like brick is intended to. And that way, whatever water hits it's gonna hit the metal and just run down and then angle it right towards the roof drain itself. So
this is all gonna be hopefully part of the $100,000 project,
Mm.
which is the capital one that we get each year, so. That's kind of what we're looking towards. But it is the difficulty to find. It was here prior to me coming, and this is something that I think I've talked about at every facilities committee, and they just can't seem to find it.
It's hard. It's not an easy place to be.
Mystery.
It is. So pavement was the other thing in the project.
Parking lot is pothole season. We just got a few more bags, the pallet of cold patch in to kind of put some Band-Aids on a few things until the actual plants open up. And we'll get a few trucks worth of hot patch in to better Band-Aid some of our potholes we have coming in.
Is there anything about like, should we be doing any work on major components of the driveways, like ripping it up, putting down a new one, blacktopping it, sealing coating it?
Take a walk around and
Yeah.
I can see that's course of action.
Is it-
Seal coatings definitely helps protect, once it's in good shape.
Yeah.
Seal coating regularly does protect it. It especially stretches its life out.
Where the parking lot meets 85A, why does that always crumble? I mean, that's an annual event, like my whole
Yeah.
life here.
Or
It's just
anywhere you
wear and
have,
tear, or-
anywhere you have a seam, water's gonna get in there and break it apart, so that's your most vulnerable spot.
Okay.
It's also says heavy traffic.
Yep.
So the edges don't have a curb in there holding anything, so the one corner keeps getting blown out, and as that hole gets bigger, it creeps farther in. And in the middle, it's like you get that one seam in there, and once the water starts popping it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So at one point, that will have to get ripped out and completely redone, but then we'd have to at least shut down half of the entrance if we're gonna keep one app open, or do it over the summer when we can shut down the entire entrance and have everybody park in the back while we got summer going.
And this summer would not be the summer to do that because
Elementary is gonna be shut
if the
down.
elementary is gonna be shut down.
Summer school is gonna be up here.
That's all we had for facilities. Does anyone have anything else? All right,
No, sounds good.
all right. That's it there.
Thank you.